I will be impressed with what North has managed to do with a few days' work. I believe, however, that they are going to get destroyed again.
I agree. This is Furia's playground. This is where they excel. This is where they shine. And for a statistic, North collectively got 45 frags on the entirety of Overpass. If you combine both Serato and Yuri, they had 41 by themselves.
Don't do this. Why are you making that stat?
See, we had Elliot dropping all the savage stats. We don't have him, so I've got to step it up a little bit.
Just got to brutalize them. They're suffering enough already.
It's a new map. It's a new day. It's a fresh slate, North. Let's go. Get it.
Big V takes no prisoners. Well, here we go. It is going to be the battle of mid. KGB. Oh, see you later, Christo. It's not a new day. It's exactly the same as the last one. He's gone. Ours wrecked him, and they are just running over this ASAC. Cajun, he's normally pretty good in pistol rounds, but he can't do anything versus Henny. And, wow. Good luck.
Yeah, kind of just kicking off from where they left off, isn't it? This is getting a little bit grim. Yuri flicks to the head of Gade, makes it look easy. Was anything but. That's when you know a player is truly great. And Kriaz, he's being baited pretty hard.
Oh,
no! Yuri survive and kill him. It's just so much BM. Make it stop, Tom.
Osborne P90 in round 2. They're brutalizing them. This is wrong. Like, you can't do this. That shot's disgusting. He didn't even stop running. And then Yuri just, it's almost like he was dancing on the grave of his teammate. That's literally what he was doing. Oh God, this is already too much. I don't know if I can watch anything more. Here we go. Please get deeked, please. I just want him to get one deeked.
Yeah, I'm alongside with you as well. And, well, Gade's been straight up collapsed through the coffins. There we go, Krias. He actually gets collateral deagle. Kills Art through Serato, and that's what you get for getting the P90 and trying to fully BM. Krias with another one, points to prove, and so far he has been one of the better players on North over the duration of this best of 3. Cajun with the deagle range puts his to use, and North coming straight back into this round. Beautiful one-tap from Yuri, keeping this round somewhat balanced when you consider the weaponry is in his favor. HP on Christo very low. Also has no Kevlar. However, Lekko does have the Kevlar. He spots him at range. Both players exchange a touch with the bullet. Neither has fallen. Still winnable for Yuri.
Yeah, he's actually got a fair amount of time as well. 40 seconds still remaining on the clock. Knows only where one of these players is, so tries to almost bait in the other, it seems. Although goes for the bomb plant. Christo, he's in a perfect position, rounds the corner with the Deeg, and North are going to break back. Maybe the BM has finally been punished by Furia. And while this was some pretty tasty shots. The funny thing at this point, though, is that they might actually just put the contract on the table for Kriaz, and he'll go, you know what? Maybe not.
Have you got a space in AGF for me now that Crystal's left? Can I go to AGF instead?
I play with TMB. He's pretty good.
Sad but true. Yeah, I mean, he has been pretty impressive, actually. And he was the player that I think maybe people knew the least amount coming into this. You know, if you watched DreamHack Open November, you'd have seen Christo playing a few times. Kriaz has kind of gone under the radar a little bit. Molly and smoke tossed towards top banana. Furia have fully invested into the round. The timing could not have been worse, and to make it even that little bit more dangerous, Gade was pulling out the grenades and he couldn't even make the most of that. He couldn't even get revenge for Kriaz. And so already Furia have just spilled out onto B site post-plant.
You have 5 rifles as well, or 4 at least, I guess you could say. The other was on Serato. He's picked up the SMG, the one weapon they probably didn't want out of all that is left. Lots of utility as well for North. So in a retake, they've got a pretty good scenario. The problem is, it's still easier said than done. Art will start off the Mania as he finds the first kill with the Deagle. Gade has managed to trade one back, but there is Vinny with another. Still ends up in a 1v2 situation. Christo trying to turn the tide, and he will win the round. Should have enough time for the defuse as well. And North just about scraped through a second.
Now, Furia, pardon me, have already shown that they don't necessarily respect this team too much. Knowing that their economy is low, do they force? You better believe they do. Scout, AK's picked up. They know that North are weakened in more senses than one, and they want to go straight for the jugular. 3 smokes. Molly and a couple of flashes on Yuri. Going aggressive to kick things off towards Banana, then you decide to hold fire. And I'll just sit and wait. They'll let these smokes and incendiaries pass by, and I'll look to try and make the most of it afterwards. It's a well-placed Molotov, though, forces out one of the 3 smokes just to extinguish it and keep Art alive. And now North will take top Banana control. So far, looking pretty solid.
I wonder what it will take to stop Furia continuing to force. Like, you would think a loss in this round, but then again, if they get another bomb plant, then the buy will probably be good enough that the risk is worth it once again. Even if they just remove a few weapons along the way, and they are just continuing to push down, press down on this B site. But we do currently have Gade and Kriaz waiting. Kriaz actually playing the back corner, though, with an MP9. I feel like the weaponry is the wrong way around here. Like, him taking the opener doesn't really make much sense. And again, the timing, not fantastic. It seems the Furia flashbang, though, has actually done more harm than good, but there's been no rotation. It's purely based on these players. Kriaz actually does enough damage to help out Gade to get the initial kill. The spray, however, is wild, and he's stuck in the corner. Now the MP9 has everything left to do, and he's run out of ammo. Onto just a USP. I don't know how the Swede's still alive. He is completely surrounded by Brazilians. There are 4 players still on this site, and finally, Art will put him down, but he might have done enough. He's given time for the rotation, given an opportunity, and Cristo with the snapshot takes down a second through the smoke and leaves only Quesarada remaining. An AK, no armor, and he gets taken out by KGB. A huge round from Kriaz, even though he gets no kills, but it's Cristo with smoke kills that close the round.
Yeah, he barely even scraped any ADR out of that round, but he played it so well, just keeping himself alive, as you said. Focus fire, focus attention, and utility. For all those players on Furia were just clumped around him, like, where the hell is he? And then you obviously have to say the other new guy around the block, stepping in with a huge double with the AWP through smoke. And Furia have force spot again. They are unrelenting. It is a similar situation to the previous round, though, Tom. I can still understand this decision. They know that North's economy is not great. They lost 3 players. They put in a big investment. And with another bunch of frags, Furia have got their hands on 4 assault rifles. And this time they've got even more utility.
I do wonder if they're just going to continue to push B, though. Because they have managed to get after plant positions. It was more just the mishap. That was such a weird scenario. 4 players completely surrounding Kriaz, and somehow he survives with no ammo. It doesn't make any sense. Well, whatever he did, it was enough to give them a way back into that round, a round that did not look good whatsoever. Once again, it looks like it's going to be the same. Feeling confident in the B site, and I like this about Furia, that I think that round they should have won. I think they know they should have won it as well. So why change the strategy? A lot of teams, if they have a failure, will instantly go, oh, now we have to go to the other side of the map. We have to do something different. No, you got into the site and gone after plant. You just failed to kill a guy with a USP. So this time, don't make the same mistake.
Yeah, and you got hit twice through smokes from an AWP. Like, these aren't plays that come out too often. Smoke towards the back of the site, tossed in from the CTs. This time, though, Cristo, no smoke required, still comes out ahead. Kriaz using the gap in the smoke to bypass all of that focus and punishes Art. Henny returns. Another kill goes the way of Vinny as Cristo's a little bit slow on the trigger, and Yuri will get an unsuspecting Cajun. Checks his right, dies to his left. Lecro, who's been on A, and let's be honest, most of these rounds have been B-centered, hasn't really got into this map just yet. 0 kills still with just 1 assist and very low ADR. But he has to go and save. It's also this kind of 2-pronged focus as well, Tom. Like, one of it is, yeah, sure, their B site isn't exactly a bastion of success. It doesn't look impenetrable. But secondly, you're now setting up North to maybe trade over a 3rd player there early on, throw in their utility, and then it opens up A to be a little bit more vulnerable. So Furia are setting up plays for the next 3 or 4 rounds. Let's see if they can capitalize on it, though.
still going to be an investment here for North as well. So they're not out of the Force Buy Wars just yet. Their money wasn't fantastic going into this round, so they're going to risk it for a biscuit. And to be honest, in the early stages of this match, I don't mind it too much. As mentioned, if they're getting to 10 rounds, I'm impressed because Furia are a very competent team on this map. I will say, though, the Brazilians have not been fantastic thus far. Like, that round, they lose a kill to Kriaz without checking the back corner when he has played the same spot every single round so far in this map, and they have struggled to kill him each time. I feel like if you have problems killing a player in a certain position, you should remember he's there. This round, though, again, Art's going to get the entry, and he's lucky. Fury has his back. He goes jumping through, and they clean up this A site almost too easily. It seems like although they managed to get the B site for not too much trouble over the last few rounds, the A site might be the true vulnerability.
I just love it, man. I kind of touched on it just before the round started, that they've been occupying B so many times. Will they then pull the trigger on A? And what kind of weaknesses will they find on their approach? You can really see the thought process coming out from Furia. And sure, a lot of the trades did go heavily in their favor as a weakened purchase was picked up on the Danes. But just love these mind games. That game of chess that we often talk about, you're trying to outmaneuver your opponent, put them into places where it makes you stronger. Now North, having invested in that round, they'll have to go ahead and save. Some beautiful entries from Art and Yuri, and the site fell without too much debate. 3-3, but this is really, Tom, where you expect to see Furia go from strength to strength.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna start naming this map after one of those Steam games, the game called Pummel Party, because I think that's what this is about to become. Because I think the North, they had the opportunities. They've not necessarily done badly so far, but now is where things should get relatively easy, at least over the next round. And the problem is with having these sort of economic droughts and problems in the early stages, the force buys, the battles, when you're on the CT side, that not only means that eventually your economy is going to run dry, but then when you even take an eco and come back in with a buy, you're still going to have pieces missing. So there's going to be no incendiaries, for example, in this round. There's also no kits, which on a map like Inferno, it really is a problem. More so the grenades than the kits. But even still, with what's been happening on the B site so far, we've seen Furia get bomb plants almost every single time. So not having a kit really could be very, very dangerous.
A good flash toss down, actually, from Gate. And Lekrom will make the most of it. Two players from the T's were pushing up mid and got completely forced backwards and countered by it. I feel like Furia wanted to start this round like pretty standard and pick and mix across the map. And as soon as they lost that player, they decided to just pull the trigger and go all out aggression. Smoke's now coming into play. Front of the site allows him to pass into pool. Flashbang is good, but actually lands on both players, both Cajun and K Serato, who's now making moves through ruins. It's a more deep facing smoke, which completely locks off Cajun. You can see he desperately wants to go and help his teammates out. Kriaz and Christo in a spot of bother. It's the two newcomers, the two newbies. They have to try and hold the line, and they're doing a really good job so far. Only two players left from Furia as they're about to get sideswiped by Yuri, and Henny also steps up, planting safely behind the fountain. But can Yuri escape? Suggests he can, as he still had his hands on a smoke. Lekro behind in this encounter in terms of HP, but doesn't miss his opportunity, and neither does Yuri. Now he can stay in position. Lekro with 5 HP left has a smoke. Any bullet anywhere on his person finishes off the round, and Yuri will make sure that he doesn't miss. But North, they so nearly got it done, Tom.
I'll always remember like when Furia sort of first burst onto the scene, and like there was a lot of hype for K Serato, and every match that we watch play, I would remember Dust just going, well, no, I think you'll realize Yuri's the best player. No, Yuri's the best player. Trust me, Yuri's the best player. And it would come out so often, and after a while I was like, you know what, I think he's right. Like Yuri just seems to have like now have taken an absolute mantle at the helm of this team. Like he's so damn good at bringing them out of like clutch situations. He's an absolute tank with the way that he plays the rounds, and just manages to pretty much do everything they need of him. An out and out star player. And sure, well, K Serato, I'm not saying he's a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. I just think the terrifying thing, as we sort of mentioned in the last map, is as well just the depth to this roster. Like, say, for example, maybe Quesarado starts a little bit cold, or Henny, for example. There's so many other players that can step up within this team that it just seems like there's nothing North can really do.
Precisely. They're not being predictable for the most part, which is very rarely the case with Furia, let's be honest. Cajun, solid deke, does at least keep Furia fended off. Now they're starting to pick the pace back up. They will not anticipate Lecco being here to bait and switch, and not for the first time. He holds his fire. He plays patiently. We saw him nearly pull off a glorious play on overpass. And now he goes back in, but he catches a stray grenade, and the shrapnel will finish him off. And as good as it was looking, because he was buying up time for this rotation to take shape from both Cristo and Kriaz, unfortunately now, they get into a post plant with established positions being assumed by Furia, then the utility is spot on. And Kriaz may as well just save the AWP. I know it sucks. You're going to be 6-3 behind. You're going to feel like you want to get into the game. You want to take the fight to Furia. It always feels like you're playing on their terms. They're always dictating the pace. But Kriaz, you have to hold on to this AWP. It is way too valuable to lose.
But the other thing as well is you have to think about how North are taking this game. Like, if they came into this genuinely believing that they could win, I appreciate the confidence. I think you might, because Furia are a top team and you're just building a new one. If they're coming into this and wanting to use it as practice, which I think it's very, very good practice against one of the top teams, I think then you have to consider you want to be coming in with as many 4-buys as you possibly can. Like, you don't want any pieces missing, because let's be real, Vince, there's not a whole lot of value in the early stages of your team in practicing what you're going to do with some pistols. Like, it's not that valuable. That's mostly based off individual plays and a few calls on the fly. Nonetheless, a call on the fly has come in from the side of Furia, as they're going to run straight up to the B side. And even though there's a trade, it's not too bad a situation. You mentioned the third gamble player. Well, he's here, and I don't think Quesarado is ready for him. In that back corner, ready and waiting. The Molotov will force him out of the corner, and Cristo burning. He eventually takes one between the eyes. Vinny, though, has taken a lot of damage in response, but you know what? It still looks doable.
Don't worry, Lecro, no one saw that HE. Definitely did not see you with it at all. Another 2v2 retake coming up, and it goes to show that North, even though they have been losing a ton of rounds, they've at least made a lot of them close. They've been getting these trades for the most part, but Furia are just better when it comes to those last 15-20 seconds. Vinny now low. Feels like maybe risks need to be brought into play. The shadow betrays, but the flashbang is good. Blinding out, burning out the retinas. And now Cajun taps the bomb, tries to get Henny out into the open. It's a labored spray, but he may have done enough just off time. This is going to be incredibly close. He doesn't have it. The bullets ricocheted all around Henny for too long, and Furia cash out with the detonation.
It's painful, because again, we see a few big plays coming up that seem to set them up nicely, and although the scoreline isn't much different to what we saw in Overpass, I feel like the manner of the rounds is very different, Vince. Like, they're close. There's pistol plays that are bringing them through. We're getting into 2v2 situations where you feel like it can go either way. Even rounds where Furia don't have any players surviving. The problem is they're still losing all of the rounds. Like, we're still at a 7-3 scoreline. North not really putting their mark on this game. And in between every good round, there comes a force buy of sorts. A few pistols, SMGs, as we can see here, a mixed buy, which you really don't want to be having, especially on the CT side of Inferno, because it just gives more opportunity for Furia to build up the cash. The thing that I'm impressed with, I don't necessarily think that in terms of the individual players, North are actually playing that badly. I think Cristo's starting to show up a little bit. He looks much more comfortable on this map. And we've seen a moment or two from the likes of Kriaz and Gabe. So I feel a bit bad, I guess I could say. I could easily see this being, like, even in North's favor with how the rounds have been going so far.
Yeah, I feel like at least the 5-5 will be pretty fair from what we've seen. And now Henny doing his utmost to repel any kind of aggression down Banana. That's the thing, though, Tom. Like, the truly great teams, the top 10, the top 5 teams in the world, they can grind out these close games. They can grind out the close rounds. They always seem to have this knack for pulling off the 2v2 clutches, for getting back into rounds where it looks like they never really had a chance. North went in for a half buy. They have max round loss bonus, so that forced them an SMG here and a pistol there. But Art is not interested. He is pushing down the aggression again. And now Cajun has been put down in his place. It will be a post-plant momentarily. The bomb is still traversing across to the site. That will be in the hands of Henny. And Furia looking good to be leading come the second half, whatever happens from this point forward. They will be getting an 8th round. There is no hope for North to get back into this, and let's be honest, I don't think Kriaz is even interested.
Yeah, chances are just hold on to the Kevlar. Again, it's a pretty depressing reality when you think about the scoreline, but there's not really much point him just throwing it into the wind and just giving an extra kill over to the side of Furia. So again, it's a bit of a peculiar one because Furia have put a real focal point on this B site, and I honestly think the A site has been so easy for them to take so far. Like, there hasn't really been any resistance when they've gone in that direction, but I guess if you're on their side of things, like, if you're feeling a little bit rusty maybe at times, put the pressure on. Like, go for some of these plays towards the B site. Try and clean up the execution a bit because it hasn't been flawless. There's been some mistakes. And also, I guess the way they're looking at it, eventually, if things are going wrong, they can always just go back to A again.
Indeed, they can strike pretty much anywhere on the map. And North don't really know what to expect. Going to be based off spawns for this round, though. K-Serrado and Art both had excellent spawns to push up Banana quickly. So good, actually, that North, having put 3 players over here, again stacking 3, have been naded a few times. And if Christo misses this shot, he actually likely dies. And that's exactly what comes into play. And interestingly, his 2 teammates of Kriaz and Gabe pulled back. They effectively left him alone, and I wonder if that's because they're anticipating more HEs and Molotovs. They didn't want to take more utility damage. But they've just completely sold Christo down the river, and as a result, now that B site is that much more vulnerable.
Okay. That's at least found the answer in some sort of response. They've got to try and kill off the man at the back of the site, and the smokes have faded. Things are starting to look rough, but then Vinny just comes up with 2 headshots. Make that a 3rd. He's just ripping them to shreds. As said, it seems like when one member of this Furia roster goes a little bit quiet, another one comes up even better. There's nothing North can do here. Just even on an individual level, they are not up to the standard of Furia today, and it is a 9th round on the T side, Vince, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better for them.
Must be nice to, you know, be in the buy time and be like, you know what, lads, I feel like having a round off. So when I was like, no issues, I'll just run in and get 3 headshots then. Vinny was looking for a 4th, gets silenced, not that it really matters a great deal. Money is in such a good place for Furia. At one point it was a little bit sketchy, but now it's certainly the CTs and North that will be feeling the effects. They could maybe rummage together a buy. They're in that very weird position where ordinarily you wouldn't buy in this round, but because you're 9-3 behind and you just desperately require rounds, as Vinny, you're seeing him just demoralize further and dismantle this Furia team. You're in that position where you maybe even feel like you have to go for a buy. And I think that's why you're seeing a tactical timeout to make sure they're all on the same page. They can grind out those extra couple of grenades and get their accountant on the line. Cajun has to dip down to a FAMAS. Christo, what does he pick up? Could even go for a scout, actually. Depends on how confident he's feeling, I guess, in his sniping ability. Goes for an MP9. Fair enough. Makes sense.
I almost want to see them take banana control in this round, or try to. Because that's one of the main disappointing things for me on this B site is there's never really been a possibility for North to actually rotate players in because they don't know until it's too late. Like, most of the time, there are players all the way in the site, and then you go, oh, by the way, guys, they're on B. And then that's you dead. So I want to see them be aggressive. Lekro going down mid, I like the idea. And yeah, they're fighting for banana, giving them an actual battle for some of the positions that they've had for free, and it's actually working out quite well. I'm not saying I'm a genius, Vince, but it's looking pretty good.
It is, and it felt like this was bound to happen. They've been bullied and pushed around too much, and eventually they snap. They decide, look, if we're going to lose this, let's at least lose on our own terms. Let's make sure that we at least do something about it. Exactly, yeah. Kill the oppressors. And unfortunately, Christo's timing could not have been worse, but they are being flanked. Cajun right behind them, but he's been hurt. Art knows exactly what's coming up. Still misses the shots, though, when he was very low HP. So had very little room for error. A 2-on-2, though, almost like the teams have traded places. Now, Fury with a post plant and having a look where Gade is going to take him a long time to make a move all the way around from CT. And even when he does, he has Vinny to contend with.
Yeah, they needed to go for something aggressive this round because they had no utility. And what that means in this retake is, Vince, it's quick maths, but they still have no utility. So, yeah, it's a pretty rough situation. It looks like they're actually going to go for a save. I'll be honest, at this point, I would have just gone for this. Like, it's one of the closer rounds. You're going to be 10 rounds down. I think it's too far gone. Like, you're basically going, yeah, let's keep these 2 rifles to give us a chance to get to 5. And I don't know. That's not a scenario I want to be sitting behind.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I think we've reached that point where I understand the thought process is to get more rifles out there, and you have confidence that even if you get 5 rounds, you can win this. But Gade had a kit. They actually had a kit, and they had a Molotov. Like, that is a round where you could have feasibly won it. And do you really want to be playing for the maybes after being destroyed time and time again in these 5v5 sort of pushes through on B and through on middle? Surely you try and take the bull by the horns and make that 2v2 yours, but that's all in the past. In the here and now, grenade damage is severe onto Gade and Kriaz, nearly 100 between the two of them, sharing the burden. And Furia picking up the pace, looking to boost over the smoke in middle, peering towards quad. No one's home. Throw down a smoke of their own, and now they can start to make a move onto arches. But Christo, big kill, and he lives to tell the tale.
Got away with it this time. The problem is they've got a lot of openers. I'm not even going to start looking at the opening stats because North have actually done relatively well. I think they're not that important in this matchup because every single time Furia go down, somebody steps up and brings it back for them. Take the last round. We saw them push down Banana, push down mid, get 2 opening picks, lose the round. And in the end, it was just a save. So until they get themselves into a truly commanding position, I'm not going to believe that North can take any of these rounds. And once again, Furia just going back to this B site. They know that most of the time they've had very successful trades. Sure, a little bit of aggression here and there might have caught them off guards, and it took them a while to kill off some of the players within the site in some of the earlier stages. The question now, what are they going to do? 30 seconds, another smoke's been put down. North have actually done very well in this round to hold on to their utility, but the fact is they're going to try and play off Vinny. They did fantastic in the last round. This time, what? How does he get Cajun? Cajun was literally waiting for him. He's just solo triple entry'd the A site, Vince. Just end it here. End it here. Let's cut. Come on. Roll all the cameras out. Everybody go home. This game's done.
Oh, that smile. That tells you everything you need to know, mate. He is loving life right now. He knows he single-handedly has won multiple rounds. He got a very similar play on B as well. This man is truly on form. It's another one to Furia. And as Tom already highlighted, it does feel like it's pretty much a done deal. I don't want to completely write North off. I don't want to disrespect them. They've had some good moments, and again, those first 10 rounds, it could have easily been a 5-5, hell, maybe even a 6-4 scoreline to North. But it doesn't matter. Furia held on to the wins. And I'll try and formulate this point as well as I can. I'm a bit under the weather. My brain's not really working, Tom, so tell me if I'm talking out my backside here. But when it comes to making comebacks, especially on the T side, I feel like if you can get some read over the sort of default positions of the CTs and you can really exploit them, it's a very good way back in. My issue with this is Furia on the CT side are the most unpredictable team in the world, and when you're at such a huge deficit, the chances are they're going to pull off one of those crazy push timings or peaks, and that's pretty much the game, set, and match. I think they're such a difficult team to come back onto.
Yeah, I think many teams at this point have learned that you can know what Furia are going to do, but that doesn't mean you can stop it. And that's been the case in this match. Just think about what Vinny just did. It's not like they didn't know he was coming. He just killed someone and ran. It's just that he headshotted all of them along the way. And that's what he's doing. He's going to get another kill. This time, Gade finally puts a stop to it. He takes the muscle of the in-game leader. But the fact is, it doesn't matter. This is the same scenario we've seen so many times. They rush towards the B site. There's not quick enough rotations. There has been an afterplant nigh on every single time, and Furia now just have to play the afterplants. And as we've mentioned many a time, like Furia have been together for a long, long time. They know each other very well. They're very good in these clutch situations. It seems slim that they'll lose this, but that's a nice kill from Lekro. He's going to give them away back in. Both players actually more committed towards that CT side, but that's an easy kill for Henny, and there's Quesorado. And this is what I mean. The synergy is nigh on perfect. It's all onto Lekro once again to try and clutch this out. Quesorado already tags him very low indeed, and he will finish it. It started off looking okay for North, but they have been battered once again. A 12-3 half for Furia. They're looking to close this in the second.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. You know what the greatest aspect of being battered 12-3 is, Tom? The chance at a truly great, miraculous comeback. And that's what North will be looking to do right now. On the T side, if they can keep that economy low, maybe there are ways back in if they win the pistol. It's very unlikely, don't get me wrong. But let's hope that they can at least convert some of those chances that we saw in the first half.
That's actually how I play video games. I hope to come back every time. And the problem is I just don't, which is actually very similar to what North are about to do. But nonetheless, we are going to have a man advantage. Now, we've seen a fair few of these, Vince. And Vinny is still alive. So I'm not, again, I've put the caveat on over the last few rounds, but I'm not holding my breath just yet. They've still got a long way to go. But as we saw on Overpass, I think going onto the T side actually gives them a little bit more of an opportunity. Like, you're not going to see a team likely have all of their setups, their crossfires, everything in place just yet, and that leaves a lot of openings, especially for aggressive players like Furia, to find themselves kills. Kriaz, well placed, but he can't do anything. You can see the frustration. Vinny just doesn't miss, and then Henny peeks out moments later. They're going on the wraparound, but they run straight past one of the players from Furia. They are just waiting to catch them, but they actually get rid of Vinny. And Quesarado, I feel like he might have missed his opportunity here.
Yeah, but he looked pretty disappointed. Lecro, 2 quick fire headshots. Has been dropped down to 12, but Henny is anticipating that maybe one of the T's tries to push into Banana and get early information. If he can finish one off, maybe there's ways back in, but without any smoke or flashbang to cordon off Catwalk or CT side, it's going to be a difficult ask here. And I'm not even sure if he necessarily wants to go for this. I mean, he's almost setting up more for exit frags to me, Tom. Like, he's given up the round, but he wants to make sure he takes as many of these Kevlars down as possible. Nice headshot onto Cajun. Briskly just deals the fatal blow. But there's Christo. And North get the second pistol. There's the first hurdle. They've navigated over it. There's going to have to be a lot more where that came from.
They can only go north from here. No one's ever made that joke before. Oh, God. Yeah. Well, you know, it's a good start. I'm hopeful. As said, I think they can probably do more on the T side than they will have done on the CT side, but that's not really that impressive. And they've still got to get past the force by nice nades. Done a lot of damage. Art with his cheeky mag, and, well, unfortunately for Henny, didn't have any armor, so he took most of the brunt of that grenade. Even still, though, can't count them out. Vinny has been hitting nothing but headshots pretty much all the way through this match, and they've actually stacked the B side. So they are more than prepared if they go in that direction. Unfortunately, Yuri will have to do something utterly ridiculous, and the fact that he's holding an angle that I can barely even see, it makes me feel a little bit inadequate, Vince, I'll be honest, but he doesn't get anything done, so clearly I was right all along to take the widest angle in human history.
Yeah, it's like multi-purpose. Like on the one side, if there's multiple players push in there, like in a conga line, you don't have to have lightning quick reactions. You just have to hit the second player. But additionally, it allows you to see like a quick pixel, and it's an easier angle to fall back from. So it's all about that early intel, because he was playing A, as you highlighted, they had 4 players over on B. So it's that safety net. The second he sees anyone, he pulls back, he survives. They trade over a second player. And now North really have no idea how many players are on both sides. For all they know, it's the A side that's stacked. 30 seconds left, and Furia have done a masterful job at whittling away this time. Now, this may be a false narrative. They've got the kill on Tagade. They keep 3 players over here for a little bit too long. But he was all alone. He was the interference maker. Now Cajun can start to move in through on the balcony side. Kree's doing a good job with that MAC-10. And although the time was scarce, it looks like they will get it done just in time. And Furia, with 3 players, including a UMP and a MAC-7, would do well to hold on to these weapons, but we know just how aggressive they are. Sometimes greed certainly is not good, Arts, and he has been punished for that push.
Like, be real, what are you expecting to get from there? Like, how are you gonna get out and kill someone? Was he expected to, like, I don't know, like Batman jump onto the heads of someone from below? I just love, I would love to have Art's optimism in life. I think I'd be such a happy person, because you just believe anything is possible at all times. Also the confidence as well. Although I feel like if I had the level of confidence of Art, we would be in a dangerous ground.
Yeah, it doesn't work for everybody, to be fair. You have to wield that superpower sometimes, like, responsibly, you know?
Oh, God. Yeah, I feel like I would probably be one of the most hated people in the universe. But not far off now anyway. Either way, 12-5. We're going to see pretty much just the same pistols from the last round. Mag-7 actually given back to Art anyway, so I guess for him it's no real loss. Same nade actually caught as well, so not moving his position at all. And I think they're expecting him to be here, doing their research at least, but then again, expecting them to be aggressive and denying them from being aggressive is one thing, and now he's going to punish them. The Mag-7 doing damage. 2 kills already net. Surely he can't get any more. Thankfully, Lecro's there to put him down. Henny actually has the Mag-7 himself now.
Again, considering the complete lack of weaponry that they had coming into this round, Furia do so much with so little. If they're not just a team, I think they get written off a lot as just being like the aggro team, the W team. All they do is push. Now, there's a lot of more facets to Furia, what makes them excellent. You don't just get to the level that they're at by being aggressive. There's way more going on beneath the surface. And here comes the rotation from Yuri and Serato. He's missed his chance, Yuri. The way he's been playing in this best of three, you'd almost expect him to land that first shot. Does go a little bit awry. Max 7 at that range is always going to be difficult. And even though he connects sent the mass onto Cajun, he has 11 HP to his name and not really a hope for Furia to get back onto the site with. It is only a Galil and they will have a bind to the next one. So you could at least respect the idea of them going into this, making it costly. Not too much time has elapsed either, by the way, so this is even winnable. If Serato can get this quick fire shot into Cajun, who's very low, by the way, it's going to be possible, and he's actually pulled it off. North, how have you lost that round?
I want to talk about it. Serato's good at Counter-Strike, and if you give him 1v1 duels, surprisingly, sometimes he's actually going to win them. That's unacceptable. Like, there's a point where you go, okay, this is a new team, and like, okay, things have gone wrong. This is not okay. Like, firstly, I want to give a shout out to Yuri in that situation for just being bait and just running through all the angles and taking the bullets for Serato to get him the first 2 kills. At the same time, why are you even fighting there? Like, why is each player in a position where you can't possibly get any sort of trade? Like, that was just silly. And that's going to be a round I think North look back and go, okay, well, sure, up to this point, there was like rounds where we couldn't have done much or they had very good individual plays, but that one, yeah, they've screwed that up royally.
I think it was that pool player, because Cajun was so low, he couldn't really wide swing to watch out for that secondary player. So having a player in pool just seems like such a disgusting choice, but Art with 2. Speaking of disgusting, he's just wiped the floor with North. And North just can't catch a break. They're letting themselves down, but they're also dealing with an on-fire Brazilian mix of aggression with ruthlessness. And he next up does get batted down by Kriez at least.
Can we get a third player to peek into that AWP, please? Any takers? Any? Yeah, we do.
There it is.
There it is. Can we get 4? Can we get 4? Oh, God. That's the thing. If they're against a better team and they do that, they get punished for it. But I wouldn't even be surprised if they still manage to win the round, even with them literally feeding Kriaz. Maybe they're trying to get him a contract. They're just like, if we give this guy an extra few kills, he'll get signed officially, make a bit of moolah along the way. Sharing is caring. Serato, though, still in the pit, and he doesn't like sharing. He'll just keep it all for himself, just spraying down, doing lots of damage, and eventually Kriez meets his mate. 14-5. Furia, I'm going to go ahead and say that they're having a little bit of fun because that was a bit silly. But either way, the beginning of this round was just absolute filth. This double up setup is one of, if not the best double up setup in the world. And there is a reason that they are one of the teams that can consistently run it on Inferno.
Oh, that's rough for North as well. Their economy's in such bad shape and they're eyeing up a 15-5. The grenade damage, there's Molly's down. Just walk into Vinny, feed him all the kills. Oh, a triple dunk from Serato. What? That's something you see too often. And it is a full house at kills. And Serato's $300 investments picked him up at 3K. But it was an eco, and now it's all down to this. We have 10 match points for Furia.
He's made profit on a nade. That's impressive. You don't see that very often. But yeah, 15-5. It's kind of what we expected, but there's been a few rounds where you have to look at North and go, okay, that wasn't really good enough. For Furia, I don't think they've played this one as maybe, I guess, like they've been having some fun. They're getting very aggressive. It's basically just turned out into a big game of DM to see who can get the most kills. I think at the moment, Vinny is winning with some pretty ridiculous headshots here and there, but they are pretty much fighting every portion of the map. And while some players are playing a little bit more passive, others are just getting incredibly aggressive. Cajun will actually find Yuri, making this into a 3v2 situation. But for now, well, they haven't been able to come out of, I want to say, any of these situations on top, which doesn't fill me with confidence.
No, I'm right alongside you in that opinion. You can see that North, though, they are trying to play to some of the propensities of Furia to go super aggressive. We saw Kriaz picking up 3. Basically, they just ran into his crosshair, and they're hoping to pivot off something like that again. Thing is, though, Furia, they have a good idea of the situation. They got an AWP down on Banana. Henny can take the first shot if he misses and sees both players. You will see Vinny start to make a move through via Library towards the B side. Cajun's been tagged. Henny's missed a whole bunch of bullets, and he will go down. So maybe North aren't done just yet. They still have to cross, and they've got a smoke to supply it as they move in, but there's the spray from Vinny. It is equalized by Lekro. 1-on-1. Art's up against Lekro now for all the chips.
That smoke was so bad. Like, that smoke literally killed him. It's made it possible for the trade at least, but Lekro, can he close this, or is it going to be done and dusted? Needs to win the round, otherwise Art takes the victory. He's got a full belt of utility, by the way. Every single nade, he uses none of them and doesn't connect the shot either. A round of mishaps is all I'm really going to say. Like, Henny, he was too aggressive there. Again, I said it already. I don't think that Furia have been taking a lot of these rounds too seriously. Normally, you take a shot and you fall back. Then there was the smoke, which I think the second he threw it, you could see it was bad, but he still runs backwards into the angle. And yeah, I think there's a lot of work for North. That's all I'm saying. They win the round. Good clutch from Lekro. No doubt that some of the individuals have performed at least decently on this map, and he's looking to try and take a fight up the top of Banana, but so much nade damage. He's got just 6 HP left, Vince.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, honestly. And I was about to kind of touch on the economy for Furia being rough and in the dumps, and if North can win this, it could even get them towards 10 rounds if they play their cards right. But taking that much ordnance down Banana, having to limp your way now with legs full of shrapnel, never ideal. Good counter utility, though, forces Art to toss in the smoke. Now there's a third player in. Molly towards back of Sandbags. There's another smoke, though, that's in the eyes of Vinny, and that may stop North. It may actually save them. Because if they push into this, it's a triple-man stack on B. If they hit A right here, right now, it's Henny and Yuri with a Deagle and a FAMAS between the two of them. But can they get the right timing?
There's still a part of me that believes that Yuri's somehow going to get a multi-frag here. He just seems so good in these sort of positions, and the rotation already starting to come back in. They'll have support from K Serrado, but there's still time to go back. It seems, however, that the T's are going to be a little bit more dedicated to this A site this time, and with the small amount of utility they've had, they've started to smoke off. But again, there's a huge gap in the smoke. So even if they do manage to get to the site, there's going to be opportunities. It doesn't matter, though. You mentioned the Deagle, and it's actually the pinnacle of this round. A quick cleanup and a finish for Furia. Utterly dominant as expected. Their map choice looked clean, even with a little bit of fun in there. Vinny being the absolute star of the show, Vince. And while North, they'll go to the lower bracket, but it's kind of expected.
Yeah, we came into this game and we gave them not too much hope. And that's not being sort of harsh or negative. It's just being realistic, right? Like, Furia are 7th in the world for a reason. They've had their slumps, they've had their ups and their downs, but as we touched on, they went to EU for the purpose of getting better, improving, showing the world that they deserve to be a top 3 team. And off performances like that, I can't really fault them too much. Again, though, you have to put into context that North are a fairly new lineup with this full 5. Strategically,